Welcome, everybody. Wild Fish, Wild Places behind the scenes podcast. Apologize. It's been a little bit since I dropped one of these, but we have been insanely busy. This is our busy season. We've been filming bass fishing a couple weeks ago for Fish Lab Tackle, throwing topwater wake baits and frogs. We're going to be hopefully talking about that here soon. But the biggest thing that's been happening, and last week, I've got my buddy Steve Chapman here to talk about ICAST 2021. We got so many cool things to talk about. New baits, new innovations, what the crowd was like, what the business was like, the side of Wild Fish, Wild Places and Tacklewebs and get your fish on that you really don't hear about that often. So sit back, relax, enjoy this week's episode, Wild Fish, Wild Places behind the scenes. Steve Chapman, buddy, how you doing?
How are you, brother?
Now,
I love seeing you. You know that?
I know. I love seeing you too, and all my friends. And that's what I was going to say. That I would say the biggest thing about ICAST for me was that first evening that I showed up, and I got to see you and Mikey and Marcella and a bunch of people. It was like, holy crap! I haven't seen you guys in 2 years face to face.
I know.
And it was a minimum of 1 year for 12 years leading up to that, sometimes a couple times a year. And it's just, what a good place to be, man. It's getting good to see everybody. And, you know,
yeah, I think the biggest thing about this year's ICAST is that you didn't realize how much you missed meeting people, your friends face to face, and just sharing stories or what's going on, or, you know, I've been watching the show, that kind of stuff. You know, the ICAST is the biggest sport fishing show in the world. It is once a year. It's not open to the public. I think people think it is. You would have thought it was open to the public on Friday, by the way. I don't know how all those kids get in, but it's really open to media people and retailers and buyers so that they can look at the next year's or almost the next year's products and put orders in. And as media, and did you go in as media or did you go in as Tacklewebs?
I went in as Glacier Glove.
Oh, yeah, even more. Yeah. So you were a buyer, exhibitor kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. Which obviously I am in some facets, but I was mostly there for Wild Fish, Wild Places as media.
Yeah. So it's a good way to just see what's going on. You can kind of see the trends of where things are going. And then, of course, there's the nightly parties, the nightly takeovers of Top Golf from Costa. And then just there's as much as there isn't drama, there is drama that's going on around the whole thing as the week progresses. And then by Friday, you're just ready to get the hell out of there. You're just like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. I am done.
My liver had its bag packed when I woke up on Friday morning to leave. He's waiting by the door for me.
Just if you need to move them, just slide them. Just slide them.
Now, one of the things that ICAST is always one of the biggest deals for manufacturers is the new product showcase. And real quick, you know, I want to give a shout out to Tacklewebs.
Shout out Tacklewebs. We know you're watching.
Yeah, and Tacklewebs is, you know, one of my favorite products out there for all kinds of different things. And it's one of those products that you show to people and they're like, wow,
yes,
this is genius. You know, wow, I've never thought of this. I need one. So Tacklewebs is a storage. What do you say?
System bag.
Storage bags. I guess they're all bags. I was thinking if they had the other little slide in stuff, but they're storage bags that basically go anywhere. They hang from bungee cord systems. They stick. One of the things that I use, their cup holders for little, you know, I put my leader and my tools all around my boat. I got them hanging next to my downriggers. I got my side planter boards in there and all this stuff. And yeah, if you don't know about Tacklewebs, you need to check them out. But Tacklewebs you guys had something in the new product showcase. Tell me about what that was.
Yeah, we've always had black Tacklewebs for years. You know, the Mike came up with this idea. It's like, I think it maybe was 8 or 9, 10 years ago. And it's taken a long time to build up momentum and to do what he's done, but it's always in black. And there's, like you said, there's all different sizes. But this year was going to be our whiteout. We had worked on, technically, if we want to be honest, we were going to do this last year. And we had a really adventurous goal of what we anticipated doing last year. And then COVID happened. Then they went to the worst ICAST ever. The virtual ICAST last year was just a waste. So we kind of shelved it, and then said we'll do it for 2021. And as crazy as this might sound, I think it was better for us to launch it this year than last year, only because this year the convention was probably, and you saw it in 2019, I think it was probably 45% smaller than it was in 2019.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I think this year, because of how successful everyone was for the COVID time, the people that came in all had a lot of money to spend, and they wanted their shelves have been empty and they need product. So the people that did get here were very successful, unbelievably successful, overwhelmingly. People I talked to someone last night that said they had as you walked in the door, I don't want to say their name of their company, within the first 10 minutes, they had a $400,000 order for lures. So, and this is a really small company that had a 10 by 10 booth. So there were a lot of people that did really well, but we launched our the white out series. All the bags are now in white, and we had a party and we did all sorts of stuff. The goal is this year was to get in the new product showcase and try to win and get that little baby sticker, that little sticker that says best to show. And so we put a lot of marketing effort and marketing dollars into trying to win it, and we didn't win it. And I'm calling BS on us not winning it, but that's just, I think there's a lot of other stuff that goes into winning best of show. It's a popularity contest.
No doubt about it. And just to give people out there listening or watching on YouTube an idea of what the best, it's exciting for us as small business owners to put our stuff in there and be a part of that mix. But Yeti won it with a goddamn bucket. Their bucket won best new product.
Yeah. Some of it doesn't make sense. And really what happens is so they have the new product showcase, and only the people that are allowed to vote in it are media and retailers. So before the new product showcase opens, all these companies like Pure Fishing and all these have press conferences to get the media in, and then they schmooze us. That's the truth. They wine us, dine us, and they give us other crap. and that makes you vote for their product. So for Tacklewebs, we were in three things. We were in giftware, which I didn't understand, but I did understand. We were in tackle management, and we were in another one, tackle storage or something. And we didn't win any of the three. The big companies, like usual, win. Plano won everything. AFCO won literally everything. And Yeti and all these other people won too. It's like I said, it's really a popularity contest. It sucks because a small company could get that sticker and it would just boom their sales, because that best of show sticker is worth, it's worth a couple $100,000 probably.
Yeah, exactly. But you touched briefly a second ago on the business side of it, why we're all there. And that's what I saw too, hands down. The business, it was a smaller show. It was a much smaller show, less traffic, less manufacturers there as well. There was some, Normark or Apple and Normark wasn't there. I didn't see the Sims booth wasn't there. I mean, some of the big players just opted out. They had some guys there, but they didn't have a booth. But with that being said, the dollar amount and the business that was going on, I would say was as good or better, I would say, than any time that I've been in the industry in the last 13 years. Every place that I went to, everybody I talked to was just writing orders and doing business. Every contract I took, signed, I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah, this was the first year. It really isn't. As media people, it's a way to a lot of people go out there and they've got their hands out, and majority of the media people have that what I call the media handshake, both hands out. What can you give me?
You're right.
And that isn't really the time to do that, but it's a good time to introduce yourself to the right people so that when you go back in there, you can talk to them about deals. This year, though, it was the exact opposite. If you were going in, like I went into a rod company and said, here's what I'd like to do, and they didn't even blink. Yes, we're done. Or I'd go to a lure company and I'd go to Pure Fishing and say, hey, this is what I need for the year. Yep, it's yours. Email me on Monday or email me the week after, whatever it is. Done. So this is the first year that happened because, like I said, I don't think there were a lot of media people out there for the first time, but the retailers were out there, and it seemed like everyone was in a much better mood. And I think as much as COVID hurt all of us because we didn't get to see each other and that kind of stuff, COVID did one thing for the fishing industry, and it blew up fishing in the last year. We know that there's more people fishing right now than ever. But the goal is trying to keep those people into fishing. Now that we've hooked them, now we gotta land them for life.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a bunch of the talks that I had with a lot of my companies that I work with. That was the focus. How do we put out media to help these people that are, they go out, they've bought a rod and reel, they've bought a few lures, they've caught some fish, and now they're excited and they want to get into it more. Well, they're starting to look around and see what kind of information is available, because let's face it, there's a lot of really complicated techniques. And a lot of times, a lot of our fisheries are super complicated, and we don't want to overwhelm these people. We want them to stay fishing and being a part of this sport that we love. And that's kind of been the focus. And that was kind of the meetings that I had. It's like, you know what? Every time you go rig a Tasmanian devil lure, every time you do a video, show us how you rig it. Every time, let's talk about tying a knot. Let's talk about what kind of leader and line combinations you're using, and, et cetera, et cetera. And that was a big focus, I think. And for all of us going forward, we're going to try to get some of that information out there.
Yeah, I think even though it won best of show overall, that new Pure Fishing Gilly lure, I think that if you're a beginning angler, you would hate that lure.
What is it? I didn't see it exactly. Explain it to me.
So it's a takeoff of a Japanese lure called the Imagatsu Javelin Gill. It's a soft plastic, probably the best swimming bait, soft plastic bait you'll ever see. However, if the lure's up and down, you have to hook it on the nose, and it's got to go sideways.
Oh, wow.
So you got to hook it like that's, I know that looks crazy. Yeah. So you hook it on its side. But the Javelin Gill was, I think you got 4 of them for like $35. I can tell you, I don't consider myself a professional angler. I'm probably above average.
Oh, for sure.
I ruined 3 of them before I rigged it right.
Oh, wow. And that's your you're definitely above average angler. You are, like, you fish all the time, and you're in the industry. I mean, you do it for a living, basically.
Yes.
And bass fishing especially is I would say bass fishing is, if not, it's got to be your top, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most convenient for me.
Yeah, and that's what you do the most. So that's disheartening to hear that you said you ruined 3 of them because you know how to rig bass stuff.
Yeah, so now they have the Javelin Gill. Now Pure Fishing made the new lure called the Gilly, which is drastically higher end, has better graphics, looks better, everything about it. And you get 4 of them for like $10. And it is a beautiful, beautiful bait. But a new angler that gets that is going to be they're going to look at it and buy it because of what it looks like to start off with, which is how we buy things. Right. But then when they get it, they're going to be completely dumbfounded on how to rig it properly.
Right.
So even though it won overall best of show, and deservingly it deserved to win it all, but the new anglers that have come in since COVID are going to hate that bait. So it's our goal to try to, as media television like yourself, if you ever use it, is to show how how these new anglers can use it and how to fish it. And if we can do that, then hopefully we can keep these guys with us and continue to fish, because there's people are buying products like no other. It's never ever been like this.
Yep, everybody's out. Like you touched on this fact a little bit ago, and one of the reasons that people are writing such big orders is the shelves have been virtually bare for 12 months, and that's getting better. Manufacturing starting to catch up a little bit, starting to figure out some stuff. It's just a different time, but people are so excited to get out and fish. One of the things that I'm going to start doing is some little how-to videos of really simple stuff. I've had some friends reach out recently, just starting to fish, like, hey, I'm just getting into it. What should I do? Wow, that is a big, broad question. Let's start, folks. How to Carolina rig a plastic worm.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic, simple.
Yes.
We've been doing it since we were little kids. No idea. They don't know how to do it.
Yeah, they don't know how to. They don't know how to fish a worm. They don't know how to do Cinco fishing or all this stuff. Like there's some baits are just, they're just stupid. I mean, it's not that the lure is stupid. It's just, if you tie the correct knot, you're going to catch fish with the lure. I mean, the action of the bait will help you catch fish. Then there's other techniques like Texas rigging or Carolina rigging or wacky rigging a worm, or a lot of people don't, they don't know about braided line or the memory on of regular mono that you get when it's on your reel for so long, or even going forth when they might start off with a Zebco and then they move over to a spinning beer and then they move into a bait caster. There's all this stuff that is there for you, and if we can teach them how to use it, then hopefully they stay with us. That's the goal.
Yep, and that was I think the focus, and I think somebody gave us a talk at ICAST about that. I think is what happened, right?
Yeah, there was
breakfast or something.
Yeah, the one thing about ICAST is, it, like we said, first off, it's great to see everybody. It's great to see all the new products, but the ASA has little sub conferences as the conference is going. Like they had one of them I attended was about how micro influencers on YouTube is really the way you should be going. As crazy as it sounds to give somebody that has 100,000 or 150,000 views or subscribers, the smaller people are working harder for your marketing dollars, and they're going to do more because they're trying. It's YouTube is a nightmare.
Right.
So they'll work harder for you. And really the people that have these smaller channels, their subscribers are more willing to listen to them because or purchase a product from them because of the honesty that comes across in their videos. They're not there. I mean, I do the unboxings. I know I talked to Vic at Florida Tackle Club the other day, and shout out to Florida Tackle Club. I love them. And I have no financial anything with them. Let me just say that. I just believe that they make the best. They do the best. But Vic was telling me a majority of his freshwater subscribers are from my channel.
Yeah.
And he's like, I appreciate what you do, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, you got to help me out a little bit with some things. He's like, I can't grow as fast as I'm growing because some of the things you do. And I'm like, okay, well, we can dial it back a little bit, but then I'm just being honest. And that's what the people that are on YouTube want, that honesty these days.
Yep. And that's the thing. I got the story from, 12 years ago when we were filming in Ireland. We went there to film 2 shows and caught 5 fish in 2 weeks. And there was the owner of the place we were staying had some big pike in a tank out back, and these French journalists were using these for their photos, and it was not true, and he said, oh, you could use those, and kind of a long story. But at that point we decided that we would never do that. I decided.
Yeah.
And this is the way that wild fish, I'm going to be honest and say we didn't catch fish. We caught these, and this is what we're doing. And from that point on, all of our listeners and our viewers and our fans have all appreciated one of the things, that point across the board, that I love that you say that you're not catching fish when you're not catching fish, and you're honest. And that's the thing with smaller influencers, like you're saying. I mean, we just, tell the truth.
Yeah, we keep it real.
Keep it real. It's all real. Everything you see is real. And when we say, hey, this product really working,
it works.
Go buy it. And people write us back. You weren't kidding. That product worked,
Yeah.
So.
I won't say the person's name, but when I did the radio show years ago, I was, I would interview you and I would interview other television people, and one person actually did a video, and then they released the fish. They didn't release the fish. They let the fish revive, stuck a different fly in its mouth, and then released it so that it would look like like the fish, like another fish had been caught, because they were having such a bad day. And they did it. This person did it 3 times. And luckily, there was a fish and wildlife person watching this, and he got a fine for, and this sounds horrible, fish molestation. This is a God's 100%. I'll text you the person later, but I don't want to get in trouble. But that's how they did it 3 or 4 times.
Fish molestation.
Yeah.
Did he have to start going around when he moved into new neighborhoods?
Yeah.
And letting his neighbors know that he was moving in?
Big sign out front.
Hey neighbor, sorry, I gotta do this with my lawyer, but yeah, I molested a fish.
You want to know what they do that here in Florida. We have manatees, and manatees are protected. I mean, they have better rights than some people in some cases. And when you go kayaking, they kind of like to, or wake or paddleboarding, they kind of come up to you because they're very curious animals, and they'll put their nose on your paddleboard or whatever, and people like to touch them and pet them or feed them fresh water. And if you get caught doing it, it's called molestation of a manatee. And that
happened to me in high school.
I had a friend that did it, and she didn't get caught, and I said it was all right. It was just the tip. It was just the tip. She was so mad at first off, she posted them on Facebook, and I texted her and I said, hey, take those photos off right away. You're gonna get in trouble. And then the next time I see her, all I did was just bust her chops about, well, I didn't know she had a thing for big fat cows and stuff like that.
All the jokes. So I would say, I was back to ICAST.
Yeah.
Did you see, the pure fishing soft plastic? For me, I spent little time at the Okuma booth, Fish Lab Tackle, and I got to see some of their new hard baits coming out. And I think I was telling you, like I was fishing their wake baits the week prior, and their new rattle toads, and they've got some really cool stuff coming out. Really beautiful looking baits. Did you see anything else? What else did you see around there?
So Fish Lab had some great products. There was some new stuff from 13 Fishing. That new deep diver Jabberjaw is kind of a little bit different. Still the same thing as that. It's the blade on the front goes back and forth. The lip goes back and forth.
Chatterbait.
But it's on a square bill crankbait.
Oh wow!
So that one, they made a deep diver for that. That was a little bit interesting. The Gilly was interesting. That new Shimano, I don't even know, it's got like a different graphic inside, was somewhat cool. There wasn't as many. I said this to you. I think we're somewhat, after doing this for so many years, that when we see something new, you kind of instantly, you instantly go, okay, I don't think that's going to work, or yeah, maybe it is. We don't have that middle layer anymore where we just go, okay, we'll try it.
Yeah.
So I think Patrick has from Sabile, a band of anglers, has that new loader minnow and loader crank, which has a different. I have one somewhere.
Yeah, grab it. That's
where it. Hold on.
Well,
here they are.
Patrick Sabile is just a legend, and I love the guy. And anything he makes, I'm in.
For the audio people, they're not going to like this, but for the video people, if you put this on the channel,
Yeah.
so see, I don't know if you can see that it has a metal bill.
Oh wow. Oh yeah.
So it's really
Wow.
it's really thin.
Uh-huh.
But because the thinner the bill is, the tighter the wobble is. So it looks more realistic.
Mm.
So that's why he put it soldered here and soldered here.
Wow.
So he has this one, which is the crank. Don't know why I don't know that, since I've sat here and worked hours on it. And then this one you can see in the box is the minnow.
Oh yeah, same metal design, longer, skinnier.
Yeah,
more look like a walleye bait almost.
Yeah, I think that probably would work for like your toothy critters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
So, I mean, you see your gimmicky things. I mean, I think this is a gimmick. This is the Lunker Hunt Skitter lizard.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. I think what people have to remember is even though it looks great, doesn't mean it fishes great.
Always the case, right?
Yes. And I think there's too many. I mean, we didn't see, getting back to ICAST, it was definitely smaller to start off with. I think that they had 10,000 retailers and media come through. Usually I think that it's probably 80% media people, 20% retailers or buyers. I think that was flipped this year. I think it might have been 90-10 in terms of media buyer, in terms of, retailers and buyers over the 10% media, when it's usually the exact opposite.
Right.
So I think that was good, but like I didn't, like in normal circumstances in 2019, there were probably 400 or 500 new products, new lures going into the new product showcase. I think there were probably less than 100 this year.
Right.
So I think that had to do with a lot with the amount of exhibitors, but I think that now there's so many different ways to get the word out on a lure before ICAST, like your classic, or giving them to you to use in your television show. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a changing of the guard on how people are putting out their lures for the next year, if that makes any sense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it just, our industry and media in general has changed so much over the last 12, 13 years. I mean,
yeah,
you're just seeing it. I'm seeing all that stuff on Instagram before I see it at ICAST now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that I was really, and I got this ahead of time, I got the Z-Man Big Blade like 3 weeks ago. Now,
what is
chatterbait?
It's chatterbait?
Yeah, but it's got like a 70% bigger blade than the original chatterbait. If you're a chatterbait fan, you're going to love the Big Blade and the Mini Max. Now, the Big Blade doesn't have the sound that the jackhammer has, but its hunting action in the water is insane.
You said it like flips around too, instead of just chatters down.
Yeah, it doesn't just run a line where you do it. It kind of hunts. It kind of goes to the right, goes to the left. It has this erratic pattern. And if you put the right trailer with it, it works. You're going to catch a lot of fish because the vibration is ridiculous. Awesome. And then the Mini Max from Z-Man has a higher pitch sound and a lot smaller blade. So as someone who loves chatterbaits, that was the two things I really, really, really wanted to see.
Gotcha. So, and I've never fished chatterbaits. I've never fished a chatterbait in my life. And just because I don't do a lot of bass fishing, I guess, but I'm going to have to try it out. And Z-Man is just they're a great company. They make so much good stuff. Anyway, I mean, I was fishing some of their Ned rigs the other day, their Z-Man, their technology on their plastic is just insane. You just could fish one all day almost, and they make some cool stuff. So that's exciting. I'm gonna have to get a couple of their chatterbaits and try them next time I go bass fishing.
Yeah, I think that I saw the mechanical. Did you see the mechanical frog? Hold on.
Yeah, I didn't. So my ICAST is a lot different than your ICAST. And Steve's going around looking for products to talk about and filming them. And and you can see a lot of this stuff on Get Your Fish on his YouTube channel.
So do you see the frog?
Okay.
So the frog, look at the front.
Yeah.
I just hooked myself. So it has that little thing. So when you cast it, it goes like that.
Okay.
So then you pop it, and then it goes. So it stays in the strike zone.
Right.
And then this doesn't make it move, the
Right.
feet moving.
Right.
So then when it's done, you pop it again, and that would make the line come out. And then it stays in that strike zone and makes a commotion.
Dude, that's bad. That is badass. I like it. When you first said it, I'm going to say, when you first said it, I'm like, come on.
Well,
I like it. I get it now.
Yeah, I think that is there a place for this in the industry? I mean, the maker or the manufacturer said he had like 3 or 4 years into making this work. So I'm not sure if it'll catch fish.
It'll catch fish.
Is it cool? Yes. Could it be gimmicky? Yes, but I
first saw it when I see it. Yeah, it's gimmicky. Yes. It looks painful. Yes. But then as soon as you just showed me what it does, I'm like, oh, that's going to catch fish. Because so many, and you know what else I like about it? It's got the 2 treble hooks hanging off it.
Yeah.
All the frogs I fish, the hooks come up and they're protected for fishing weeds,
Yeah.
Big weed mats and whatever. But a lot of places I fish, and a lot of times, like even those wake baits, we'll just sit there and shimmer them in one spot, and they can't handle it, and they'll just finally come up and smash it. They might work.
It might work. I mean, the only problem down here was we have so much grass in our water.
Yeah.
So that those treble hooks are going to be a problem. Actually, I caught a really nice bass just a couple weeks ago. I made it through all this grass, and there was literally like a 2x2 hole where I could just see no grass. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to pause that bait right in there. And then my goal was just to make it like almost walk without, like, really what I was doing is I was shaking my rod.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't leaving that 2x2 hole very fast. And then I just stopped it. And as soon as I stopped it, maybe a 5 or 6 pounder just thumped it out of, and it was so perfect. And it gets back to even that frog. I mean, a new person getting into frog fishing, you know how tough a new person that doesn't know to pause when you get a bite, that you need to feel the strike before you set the hook.
You're right.
When new people who go frog fishing get so discouraged because they see it and they set the hook right away, and they miss 90% of their hooks or the setups. So even teaching them about that, I know I'm all over the place, but teaching them how to frog fish is something everyone should know how to do, because frog fishing is wonderful.
Yeah, frog fishing. In fact, we're actually in the middle of production on a rattle toad frog bite video for Fish Lab. I got the rough cut yesterday, and we got close on camera. That bass just boom, just smashing it. And that's a lot of times, and like I said, we're getting off task here for my cast a little bit, I guess, but yeah, I'm just sitting there just jiggling that thing a lot of times and just barely moving it. Whereas when we're fishing the wake baits, I'm just reeling those across the top a lot of the times. Smallmouth, we're eating it when it was jiggling. A largemouth, we're attacking that thing as you were reeling it fairly fast across the top. And like I said,
and that comes down to like years ago, when the water's a little bit cooler, the fish are more lethargic. So you need to keep that bass or that bait in that strike zone, where when the water starts to warm up, they're a little more willing, maybe the big fish, the bass or smallmouth are more willing to charge after something, because maybe there's not as much bait, but because their bodies are warm, that they'll go after something. And knowing those tiny little things, and like how line diameter changes the weight of the bait, all those little secrets that we've learned over years help you catch more fish. It's not only the bait, the Fish Lab new baits. I didn't get to see the new baits from Fish Lab. I should have went over there and spent more time, but they always make good stuff, and so I can't wait to see it when it comes out. But those little secrets that we know help you catch more fish.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, it really is. The lures and the baits are important, but learning how to fish those baits properly is more important, all the time. You got to
Yeah.
know how to fish each one, because each one of them are built for a specific way of fishing, and a specific speed, when you're trolling, a specific depth sometimes, and definitely different actions and line diameters. And when you start talking about the finesse bass fishing world, like you were talking about, the Cincos and the wacky rigs and all that stuff, and it gets even to another level of complications
Yeah.
that you really have to dial in. But I would say, like, going back to the ICAST deal, circling back, like you said, the parties and everything were even a little bit more chill. Like we had a Tacklewebs party at the Ice Bar. Sportsman Channel outdoor group had a party the next night that we went to. You went to Top Golf, and they were all, normally it's so loud. You can't, you go to try to get a drink, you can't hear anybody talk. You can't get one or two drinks all night. And it was a lot more chill. You could talk to everybody. There wasn't a ton of people. You knew most of the faces that were in there, and you actually got a lot of good FaceTime with people.
Yeah, so we had that ice bar party for Mike and Marcel, put the ice bar party for Tacklewebs, the whiteout party. And the bar was nice, but then they had a separate room that was like, I guess you could call it like a extra large freezer. Wouldn't you think that would be the right?
Yeah, it's the actual ice bar. I mean, everything's covered in ice.
Yeah,
ice glass. I mean, you wear a parka to go in there, and
you wear gloves. It's 22 degrees inside there, and so it's nice to do that. One of the things about that's always nice about ICAST is those after parties. I mean, Costa bought out the whole Top Golf in Orlando. They bought the whole place out for the night. I went to the TTI Daiichi I think is it B&M rods and reels? Is that the crappie rods? I think so. So anyway, it's TTI Blakemore dinner on Thursday, and that's at Maggiano's, and they don't. It was like Mike's party. There's, in Mike's party's case, unlimited drinks. I don't drink, but I knew everybody else does.
Yeah.
For the TTI Blakemore, they had 4 or 5 or 6 appetizers, 4 or 5 or 6 plates of different foods, and then 2 desserts. And they just bring out so much food that you're like, okay, this is, you feel gluttonous as a fat pig person as is. I after the appetizers came out, I looked at my wife and said, I'm not sure I can eat dinner.
Yeah. It was nice to see those companies taking care of everybody, taking care of the people, and putting out a good show. And that was kind
fun. That's where you get to see everybody. I mean, right. I think when it was all said and done, I had the little incident with Roland Martin. I wouldn't call it an incident. He just mistook me for somebody else. And on the last day, I was going back to the hotel, and I went into the women's bathroom on accident. And excluding those 2 things, I would say my ICAST was very successful.
And then the women's bathroom distracted. You just took a right instead of a left, and
I don't even know. Well, the crazy thing, I'm going to say this, I'll probably regret this at some point. So I was walking back to the hotel, and I saw the bathrooms, and I saw, how do I put this? What I thought was a man come out of that door. And so I didn't even look at the label as I walked in, and I walked in and then went, oh my gosh, I just had to pee. I went, they were all stalls. And I went, this is weird. I actually said, this is weird. And I thought, well, maybe I passed them, tunnel focused. I was thinking of something else. So then I just went in a stall and I just went pee. And then 2 doors down, I hear, this is a women's bathroom. Oh, and I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. And I didn't even say, I said, I'm sorry, Karen. And then I just finished and I left. I went and washed my hands and left.
Oh, well, what do you do? And I want to just let everybody know that Steve doesn't drink. So this wasn't like a drunken stupor or anything. This is just an honest mistake.
It was really an honest mistake. but the woman inside the restroom was not happy with me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, my God, she was in that bathroom for a long time, because that was, the hallway we had to walk out to go to the front entrance. That I walked from the one end all the way to her, which was probably a 5 to 8 minute walk, and she's in there for 5 to 8 minutes, and then here somebody comes in and just peeing. Her. Yeah, shit. It was funny, but it wasn't funny. It was kind of like, I felt stupid, but I felt even,
well, at least at least you said Karen, and
yeah, I did call her Karen.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, it's funny. Well, I think I think it was a great show overall. It was great to see you people, and we've got a ton of projects. I've got a ton of projects coming out, and how-to videos and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I just want to say, anybody out there listening on the podcast or the YouTube channel, if you have something specific that you would like to see and you're too afraid to ask your fishing buddies, or too afraid to ask, excuse me,
bless you,
the tackle shop, which it is, like, that's an intimidating thing to go in and ask people simple stuff. How does this bullet weight go on? Or how do you rig a plastic worm? If anybody has a question out there, let us know. Write it in the comments down below on our YouTube page. Get with us on social media. Get your fish on. Let Steve know on some bass fish stuff. Just let us know. We're happy to help, and most of the people in the industry are.
Yeah, I've been editing since I got home. I didn't realize how many videos I took during the 3 days. So mine have been broke up for day 1, part 1, part 2, day 2, part 1, part 2 right now.
Okay. So, well, hey, and if it's okay with you, if everybody out there is listening and watching this or whatever, I'll probably get these files from Steve, and I'll put them on my YouTube as well, and have Get Your Fish on my side, and you guys can see some of these videos as well, if that's cool with you.
Yeah. There's most of them are just interviews on new products, and so you can kind of see. I can actually put your logo in there and just say they're yours. You and I know each other well enough. I mean, that doesn't matter to me.
I just want to get them. I always want people to see them, is all.
Yeah,
you have way more people following your page than mine, so.
But that's I mean, it'll happen. I know that. So there's a lot of you'll be able to see a lot of new stuff, and you'll see some crazy things, and then you'll see some stuff that you might go, okay, I think I can use this, and I think it'll work.
Yeah.
I think what was your overall feel for you as Wild Fish Wild Places? Did you have a feeling like this was finally, I mean, you and I have talked about this was your most successful trip to ICAST? Am I wrong about that?
Hands down, most successful year, most successful trip to ICAST. And I guess most people out there listening will not know the story, the background of Wild Fish Wild Places. But when I first started this TV show as this dream, as this thing that I wanted to pursue for, the next chapter of my life, it was 2008. And it was the same for you. We were both trying to start these new businesses in the worst economy any of us alive have ever seen. And I literally had people tell me, excuse me, like, what are you asking for? Well, I'm starting, all nervous, and you could pick us out. I could see these kids that were coming into Mikey's booth, going in there asking for things, and you just have a different aura about you, and people can sniff that out immediately, because it's the stinky
confidence.
I guess their stuff is not confidence. You're scared to death, right? Like when you're first getting, you don't know anybody, and I literally have had people tell me to get the F out of their booth.
Yeah.
It was the most disheartening 4 or 5 years of my life. I mean, you're getting no's, no, get out of my booth. I don't want to talk to you. And to go from that, and the same thing with Tacklewebs. And I made a toast to everybody at the ice bar. It's like, look how far we've all come together in the last 12, 13 years. We went from sewing bags in our, spare bedroom, what Mikey was doing it too, and starting a fishing show when I sold everything I owned and drove a 98 Mercury Tracer around and begged, borrowed, and stealed for everything that I could possibly get, and worked for free. And then to come into this ICAST with the economy doing great, with the fishing industry, outdoor industry as a whole doing as good as it's ever done.
Yeah.
And having contract after contract after contract signed. But on top of that, booth after booth after booth with pictures of me and
Yeah.
videos of me and Wild Fish, Wild Places, the logos, the branding, the packaging, the the people on the outside talking to this guy over here, and us, or me walking through that, going to the owners of these companies and the guys that actually write the checks, and giving them a hug and saying good to see you. And that's where all that hard work pays off. That's where the grinding and gutting it out for years pays off finally, and it's been happening, but this year was just extremely better, extremely that much better,
Yeah, I'm always happy for your success.
Yeah.
I've always been, I was a fan before you and I became friends. So I know I fanned out a little bit years and years ago, but that's all right. That's how it works. And then we found out we have this mutual love for the outdoors, and we have a really close sense of humor that we find. We can't really go into the sense of humor that happens outside of here. So it's always nice to see how well you're doing, to watch the show, even to watch the show, how much it's grown in even the look of the show. No offense to anybody, how more comfortable you become in front of a camera. Like even for my stupid little Get Your Fish On channel, like if you were to watch the first videos, I'm completely like the most shell-shocked person with that camera in front of my face. And now I'm more or less like, it's really nothing at all. I just start talking. So it's great to see that. And like you said, this was a fantastic ICAST. I know it isn't, I think people think, oh, it's open to the public. It isn't open to the public. And it would be really cool to be open to the public. But at the same time, I can see why it isn't, because there's no selling of product there. No. I mean, to hear some of the people that we're really close friends with to say they had $200,000 orders or $400,000 orders or $750,000 orders, you're just like, yeah, this year was, while the toughest year, because I'm getting older and everything seems to hurt, it was the best year for our friends and some of our sponsors that I've ever seen. I mean, everybody came out of there unbelievably happy and successful. Yeah. And of all things, I think you maybe weren't there on Thursday or Friday. Must have been Thursday night. We came back to the hotel, and I said to him, and Mike had a really, really good day. Like, life-changing kind of days. And we had said before ICAST, I can say this now, I won't get in trouble now, but we had said before ICAST, like a week before ICAST, this is it for us. We're never doing this again. It's too much work. It's we're all stressed out beyond belief. It's too much work. It's too much time, and we don't get anything out of it. So what we're going to do is, we had said, well, we'll get Dennis, and we'll get the core of us, and we'll all just rent 2 or 3 houses down in the Keys. I think you might know this, and we'll just go fish for the week of ICAST. Yeah. And you can do content, I can do content, and we can stay, at Mike's place, all that stuff. And it'll be better than ICAST. Thursday night, Mike is sitting in the room, and I think we were eating Chinese, or I don't even know what the hell we were eating. And we had it delivered to the hotel, and I walked in and I said, "You're going to hate me right now." And he goes, "I don't want to hate you." And I said, "I apologize right now that you are going to hate me." But I said, after today, we can't do the Keys thing. Yeah. And he looked at me and he goes, "I hate you right now." Yeah. And I said, "I know, I don't mind. I guess I can be the bad guy, but we now have to come back next year. Yeah. Maybe not to the level that we did this year with the party and everything, but we need to be."
Oh, we made so many
here because of what happened just today. So,
and so many good connections too. I got you guys hooked up with Melissa, new rep group, Sportsman's Warehouse looks like they're coming on board. I mean, all this cool stuff. And that's what it's all about, really. That's what ICAST is really all about.
Yeah.
And, and it happened for everybody, I think. But
Yeah, it was
awesome.
It was another. It was finally the year. You know, most of the time you go into there and nothing happens. I know.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, and really, like we said at the beginning, some of it isn't because of. Sometimes there isn't time to go to. People don't have time for what we want to do or what our goals are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good time just to meet people. And this was the first year where not only was it a good time to meet people, but people had a lot of time. And some of the reason for that was because there wasn't as many people. Other thing, unless you were a United States company, there were no Chinese or Japanese or even Canada people in the show.
All right.
So the people that were there, Rapala pulled out, which was huge.
Yeah.
And you said Sims, there were a bunch of people that didn't show up. So the people that were there, the buyers got to get a little bit closer and find out more information about it. And that helped. While that doesn't help us really, it helps the vendors and the exhibitors. And then if it helps the exhibitors, that helps us in the long run.
Right. Exactly. When you're signing deals for $400,000 for one order, I mean, those guys know, everybody knows it's time to start spending some money on marketing, which is where we come in, let's do this. We got to get the word out. How do we do this? And it all came together. But anyway, I had a good time, man. ICAST is great. Tacklewebs did great. We all did good. And like you said, every year it's like, I'm not coming back. Now this year was like, oh, I already bought my plane ticket. I'm ready to go. Not really.
Yeah, I know.
My daughter's getting married right around ICAST next year. I think I'm going to be, she's going to be getting married. And then about 3 days after, I'm going to be heading down to see you guys next year. So
you got to stay at the same hotel that we do this next year.
All right. I'll try it. I keep saying that every year. Like I just need to stay there, but
I mean, I'll get a double room. You can just share the room with me. You know that.
Okay. Let's do it next year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Yes.
Keep your eyes out for the Get Your Fish On videos from ICAST. He'll have them there. Hopefully I'll have them here if it all works out. If not, make sure you check those out and stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping another one of these with the Fish Lab Tackle Boys and talking specifics on bass lures. So thanks for joining me, buddy. Good seeing you.
Thank you, dude.
Let's do it again soon. You got the best voice ever, man. I love it.
It's this microphone. Like I have I have the compression all tiled up so that my voice sounds deeper, because my voice isn't this deep. It's usually a lot higher.
No, it's always good, man. You've got the voice of an angel. You can make a leopard. You can make a leopard purr.
The face, I have a radio face.
No, you're sexy too. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Wild Fish, Wild Places, behind the scenes. Love you too, bro.